under the watchful eye of a guru. These are all necessary. I remember another incident. There was a boy, one of the workers had brought his boy. And the work was going on vigorously. The barbender had come and they had put the iron rods in fire to bend them to certain shapes. So when this boy was standing there at a little distance away and watching the whole thing, suddenly a piece of iron, it burst out, it cut off, and a piece, it was fire, a burning iron piece, it came flying towards this boy and hit him on the chest. The boy was frightened, he was terrified, and when it hit the chest, he fell unconscious. And Mani immediately was making arrangements to take this boy to the hospital. And while this preparation was going on in the campus, the premises of the ashram, Bhagawan, who was sitting in Sudama, he told me, Devki, this beggar has to go to the ashram now. We can send word for the car. So immediately the word got around and Mani had to send the car. He was thinking of taking the boy, but then Bhagawan had asked for the car. And then Bhagawan landed there and immediately he went to the child. You see, the child was going to be taken to the hospital, but Bhagawan stopped it very cleverly by asking for the car and landing there when nobody expected him. So he stopped all those preparations to go to the hospital, came straight to the boy and touched his chest. He kind of stroked it, pressed it, and then he touched the head of the boy also for a little while. And then after some time, the boy got up. Bhagawan made him stand up and walk a little. And then he said the boy would be all right. The boy's father, who had brought the boy, little expected all these happenings, and now that Bhagawan was there with the boy, and the boy was able to get up and walk, his eyes were streaming tears. He was very grateful, happy. Everybody felt the security of working under Bhagawan. All those workers, every one of them felt the grace from Bhagawan. Later, whenever we met, whenever we ran into one of them, they would have something or the other to say about the grace of Bhagawan, how Bhagawan helped them in their times of difficulties. Then there is another incident that Mani Rajalakshmi's daughter-in-law, the second son's wife, was pregnant. The time came for delivery. And of course, Bhagawan would not give permission to Mani. He had told him strictly not to leave Tiruvannamalai for anything. So Mani could not go even when his mother died. He was the eldest son. He had to do some rituals, but Bhagawan did not allow him to go. It is only his brother who did that. And even for the marriage, he was not allowed to go. Only Rajalakshmi was allowed to go. And now that daughter-in-law, now it was time for delivery, and Rajalakshmi also did not go. She was here, and then they were phoning up often and saying that it was a little complicated. The doctors had said that cesarean had to be done. But Bhagawan told them once before that she would have normal delivery. But then news after news after news kept coming. In fact, Mani asked his sister, who was a nurse, to go and be with daughter-in-law. She also said the condition is such that she has to go through only cesarean. So till about 3:50 p.m., that is in the afternoon, the news kept coming that they were all preparing for the cesarean delivery. All preparations were going on. And naturally, Rajalakshmi, the mother, was very restless, and she was also praying to Bhagawan. Bhagawan had assured them, but despite that, it's only in the nature of human being to worry. Otherwise, we would be great masters ourselves. Now, she was worried, and then they were expecting. Bhagawan was saying normal delivery, but then the preparations were all going on for cesarean, and the doctor was going to move in any time and start the cesarean. They did not know how to handle the situation. Rajalakshmi was very restless, and within minutes, they got the news the child was born. When preparations were getting ready and the doctor was going to come and start the cesarean, the news had come that she had delivered the baby, and it was normal delivery, just as Bhagavan spoke. So there are ever so many incidents that happened when a Mahatma lives in a place. There will be miracles all around. The suffering will be much less for the people around. This is what Bhagavan himself said. And so we see that the grace would be working on us all the time. At the same time, we have to go through sufferings also, because the joys and sorrows of life come to us according to our past karmas. We would have done some good things, we would have done some bad things also. And then that score, it's a debt. If we have spoken a word of praise about somebody, it's a debt. That word of praise will have to come back to us sometime or the other, from somebody, not necessarily from the same person. And if we had spoken ill of somebody, we have to settle that account also, that debt. The same word would come back to us at some time in life. They usually do when we are most vulnerable. So the joys and sorrows of life are normal, but when we have submitted ourselves at the feet of a guru who is a realized soul, who has become one with God, he would see that the suffering is mitigated. Sometimes they may even remove it altogether, it's left to them. But they would do it only in their way at the time chosen by them. It would not happen the way we expect, and nor would it happen at the time we want it to happen. A guru is kalpataru, no doubt, but with the difference. Ordinary kalpataru, the kalpataru of the divine kalpataru of Devalok, it would give whatever we ask for. But the kalpataru, that is Guru, will give only what is necessary for us, for our spiritual growth. Because once you surrender, once you come to the feet of the Guru, your spiritual life is finished. The end is assured. In fact, once Bhagawan, a book had come, a new book, brand new book had come, and Bhagawan wanted, I and my friend, the two of us had gone there. He gave the book to me and asked me to read the last chapter. We were all wondering because you start from the beginning, any book. But Bhagavan did only the reverse. He started, he said, you read the last chapter. So I read the conclusion of the book. And then Bhagavan said, oh, the conclusion is made. Now we shall begin from the beginning. So it was not just a comment on book reading. This is what happens in life also, because our life is already a finished movie. Things happen according to the grand plan of the divine. And there is no way we can change anything except by prayer and appealing to God's mercy. When we chant the name of God and appeal to His boundless compassion with prayer, then there is a possibility of change. Otherwise, things would go on according to the plan of God. Bhagavan used to say, I think I said day before yesterday, there is really Chitragupta. There is an accountant, a great accountant, a subordinate of the Lord of Death, Yama. This Chitragupta keeps account of everybody. He is a giant computer storing all the information about all the people, all the creatures, not just people. So things would go on accordingly, according to the grand plan of the divine. But when we have someone like Yogi Ramsuratkumar's grace, we have his name. And he has assured us several times that mere calling out the name Yogi Ramsuratkumar, help will be rushed to us. By Father, we would get help, guidance and protection. So all that we have to do is appeal, offer our prayers at His lotus feet, and beg and beg and beg, until the moment comes when He would think it fit to intervene and change everything. Bhagavan used to say in 99, there will soon come a golden period for India, and a dharmic life would start. Rama Rajya would come. So somebody asked him what was Rama Rajya. He said, people would not forget God. Now people live the way they want, the way their mind dictates. But then in Rama Rajya, people would follow the dictates of their conscience. They would remember God and offer all their activities, do all their activities in the name of God, and they would keep offering them to God. This is Rama Rajya, he said. For that Rama Rajya to come, we may have to go through situations like this today. It is the collective karma of the world that had invited the present situation, because people had lived the way they wanted, justifying whatever they did, the cruelties, the violence, the enmity, the competition, the killer competitions, the kaleidoscopic frenzy of people had brought us to this situation now. The only relief is Bhagavan's grace. And to invoke this grace, we have to keep chanting His name as much as we can, and pray and pray and pray and wait for the moment of grace. The grace is already flowing all the time, but then no matter how much is the wind outside, you have to open a window or a door for the air to come in. If you have closed, if you live in a closed room, no matter, even if there is a storm outside, no wind can enter unless you open a window or a door. And for that window or the door is our remembrance of God, our chanting His name, our prayers. So let's appeal to Bhagawan, who simply sat in Sudama and knew instantly when the boy was hit on the chest by a burning piece of rod. He knew instantly and he came running. And he did whatever was needed. Now that Bhagawan is here, even now, in front of us with his raised hand in benediction. So let's appeal, submit our prayers at his feet,